This video is called The Difference Between a Police Officer's Mentality and General Conditioning, a Gang Member's Mentality and General Conditioning, and a Man Fighting for Honor, their mentality and general conditioning. The purpose of this video is not to put everyone in a box, but rather to help you understand the programs that everyone's on when they make those choices, and the behavior that is okay, acceptable, socially acceptable, and those behaviors that are considered deviant, that deviate or go in a different direction, which means they walk a different path. So if you deviate from the lower path and you take a ladder 3 steps up to the higher path, 7, 7, 7, now if you take 3 steps but they're not that high, it's like in between the higher and the lower path, 9, 9, 9. There's something between the 7 and the 6. But they want you walking on the 6 until they've transferred their programs, and they have adjusted and evolved, and they have phased out the old, and they've transitioned into a new era or age or phase or stage or state of mind, which allows for more hospitable human relations, if you will, more friendly, perhaps more benevolent, but not quite sevens. Is a deal between the revolutionaries and the corporate America, one could say, the revolutionaries with their different perspectives of the world. A deal that they really didn't have a choice in making. Their arms were twisted, one could say, because basically when a bunch of guys with technology surround you and they say, hey, we know how you feel while you're down. That's why I have such a problem with them coming at me while I'm down. Okay, it makes you act a certain way. So let's look at this thing, shall we? Let's start with the police officer. He's got to deal with people like me not too often, and when they do, they go the extra distance, and they're right to. When you deal with someone as dangerous as me, you're a fucking idiot if you don't go the extra distance if you feel that he's in a state of mind that could possibly be a threat. Next, whether he's mentally ill or not much. And the idea, their job is to send the men to the mental hospital if they feel like this person is really a threat. It's for them to sort it out. It's like, well, I'm not comfortable leaving here, really, because from in my heart and using the manual, my protocols, my judgment. You're supposed to have good judgment, and sometimes they do in America, sometimes they don't. And when they don't, sometimes it's for a political reason. And sometimes the cops know what it is, but there's nothing they can do about it. And sometimes the cops don't like the guy because he runs his mouth, because he's been conditioned to hate the police, just like they've been conditioned to be wary around him and to be cautious. So then communication becomes an issue. How does someone who's a martial artist communicate? How does someone who's a gang member communicate? And what is the difference in their apparel, and generally speaking, and their mentality? What is the difference between a corrupt cop's mentality and someone who used to fight for honor starts being a criminal, and someone who used to be a gang member? There's so many commonalities. It's all states of mind, right? You can be in a positive, righteous state of mind as a warrior. And this goes deeper than just there's good and bad people from every category. This is analyzing it in a way that we can all start to understand human nature and appreciate each other in detail. In less than 10 minutes, hopefully, in a way that is better than any movie you've ever seen. And that's why I'm doing this early in the morning, man, because I love you all, even my enemies, and I wish we weren't enemies. I wish God came down and showed us all who's right and who's wrong. I believe I'm right. But I'm going to take a scientific perspective for a moment and say, I wish that, he would come down and just straighten it all out. And I believe one day that will happen. Jesus will carry the sword of God, and that will be that. And he is the builder. The real architect, with all due respect, is Jesus Christ. And he is my friend. And before I ever saw myself as being from the tribe of Judah, which I'm sure some of you with great disrespect in your hearts disagree with, fine. Before I saw myself that way, and I do believe that is true, I love Jesus with all my mind, body, heart, and soul. And that's the truth as well. And if I've ever offended you, God, with anything I've said, Lord, speaking to God for a second publicly, not to give you lip service, but to show humility in a martial arts sort of that manner. This is from a martial arts perspective. I do this, and when it's more private, it's from a, when it's in my mind, when I speak out loud, when I'm on the hill or in my room, and that's part of the mentality of someone fighting for honor. I'm going to keep going back and forth between the different categories to help you understand, rather than do it one at a time. This is the order of operations. There's an order of greatness, and there's an order of operations. And whether you're a Mason or you're a man fighting for honor, there's certain things we agree with. We agree on. Then there are things we disagree on, and those things are irreconcilable, believe it or not. So anyway, but however, we can all coexist if we treat each other fairly. So a police officer's job is basically to enforce eugenics, social Darwinism, and to maintain the order. And they have a protocol or order of operations and procedures. We all know these things, right? But I'm trying to get you to analyze and to get there one step at a time so we can get there together. I'm not trying to condition or program anyone, just what I believe. I'm just trying to do it the best way I know how, with all the college experience I've had and the different videos and analyzing my behavior. That's why my delivery is getting better. And that's why sometimes they feel the need to give me substances, because my delivery is starting to get very potent, intense, impressive, and show my resilience and my love for God and the light in the core of my heart that resonates out as it is inconsistent with sacred morality. My heart beats in tune with sacred morality. So of the three, I walk the higher path. The police officer walks the middle path. And the gang member walks the lower path. When they are the typical. Now, if they're a tradee, kind of, no disrespect to tradee, I know you probably don't want me to bring you up. But if you're this guy, you get respect, and you don't walk that lower path. He's walking a higher path. From what I can tell you, there's people like that who transcend, right? That's why it's called a transcendent hero. You follow me? And so, as we find ourselves, instead of being recreated, the state puts the police officer at odds with the man walking the lower path, the sixth path, the path that evil has set for him. He says, look, there is a way out of the ghetto, and this evil, and we'll make it look fun. But God does not want you to follow the plan of the devil, and he does not want to meet the devil halfway. God wants you to walk in light as a Christian and survive this changing world. So when the police officer who might see himself as a Christian sometimes, his philosophy will come into conflict with the state. And every time he does what the state wants, it hardens his heart in a way that is very disturbing, yet it's hurtful. It hurts me to see this happening, because a lot of them aren't so bad. But then there's this pack mentality that is part of mainstream white culture. And there's a difference between subcultures and certain ethnic groups. And there's many. We can go on about these different ethnic groups, the Celts and so on. And mainstream white culture. Mainstream Masonic, Roman kind of mentality, Roman kind of take over the world, or even a Nazi mentality, or even Alexander the Great or Napoleon, Genghis Khan, take over the world. Okay, unite them all under our way of doing things, which includes priesthoods and so on. So I'm almost out of time, so I'd like to end by saying, reminding you, the police officer tries to keep the peace. He's a peace officer. Cop his way to disrespect him, so is a pig. Pig is a more disrespectful term. For the same reason, you're disrespecting your soul and God when you live the life of a true gang member to a T, to where you're heartless and just about money. Money is the root of all evil. And there's a trail of money, like a trail of crumbs, leading you right to hell. And you're picking it up, saying, yeah, I'm about my money. This is easy money. The cop walks a life that is similar to that. He wants to maintain his family. He doesn't necessarily want to overindulge in money. Some are the corrupt ones who take on the same gangster mentality as a gangster, or on the path with a gangster, and sometimes friends with gangsters, and in the same clubs and groups and organizations. So, he is walking the middle path. He's picking up money, and every once in a while, he's picking up, he's doing something good. That his path is black and white. You know, when they say not everything is black and white, not every path is black and white. But in this sense, this path, in this context, is black and white. And the man fighting for honor, he can stray to the black and white and work with them. You know, work with the cops to hold down the man walking the higher and lower path. He can walk the lower path as an informant and still work with the cops on the middle path. You see what I'm saying? The cops need policies that reflect enlightened temple thinking to help them take that 3 steps up to the higher path. If the state does not enforce righteous men's policy, and if the state is not consistent with sacred morality, the cop is forced to walk the middle path. If he wants to maintain being a cop because of the culture around being a cop, the culture around fighting for honor, and the culture around being a gang member. Now, a lot of you might say, well, no shit. Well, some people are in denial. You know, there is cultural denial. It's not white denial as far as race. It is white cultural denial. Mainstream white people, not white people who are in a gang, not white people who hang out with Rastafaris, that one cool white guy with dreadlocks, you know, or maybe there's more than one, but, you know what I mean, okay? So it all goes back to the box and how people purposely put themselves in it. And then they have the nerve to say, well, I'm different. Then step outside the box. Don't just think outside the box. Exist. Mind, body, soul, heart. Outside that motherfucker. When I say heart, it's in the middle of the triangle. Your heart is your mind, body, soul. Is it not? Thank you.
The devil might use this to confuse you. But every time I do a speech, sometimes I feel like crying afterwards, and my heart is heavy, it hurts, and I feel like my heart is joining my consciousness, and it's like pain. And that's part of why I want to hold a good woman, not some slut, just a beautiful woman that I'm madly in love with. Just hold me, just make this pain go away. That's another difference between a man fighting for honor. There's this emphasis on love that you don't see anywhere else. It's so emphasized that everyone's like, he's a fucking lovesick, hopeless, romantic idiot. And it's rare to see that in other categories as frequently. They have a lower frequency of hopeless romantics in the gang world and in the police world because of their state of mind. But if they saw it my way, they probably